Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another ZASGcast. I, of course, am your host, Zazg, and we're going to be looking at a match from the ZCup between Imperial and Sly. I couldn't find a lot of information on either of these players, but we do know this is part of a best of three, which we'll be looking at over the next few days. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. We have the lovely Sly, the Sly dog himself. Have fun, good luck, spawning over in our eastern position. Better turn my sound on. And the lovely Imperial spawning in our western position over here. Protoss versus Terran. And it'll be interesting to see what both players opt to go for. I want to say common theme for Terran is to take the second, early defense here, move out, block off both ramps with tanks, sometimes command centers into planetary fortresses. Easy to defend three bases here with tanks and planetary forces. Of course, similar options from Protoss, taking possibly the early fast expansion, blocking off the ramp, but we'll have to wait and see. Probe coming out, Imperial's going to send his probe straight across positions, as that's where he likes to scout first. Unfortunately enough, that's where his enemy is. Of course, this is the map which has no gold on either one of here. It's not the Blizzard map, I think it's from the MLG, which I think, personally, I like it a lot more. I think the gold here was just a little bit favoured towards Terran because they'd take this bunker themselves in, and the amount of minerals they get was just ridiculous. Sly sending his SCV to the top left position first, and he's not going to find Imperial just yet. Getting a nice scout off with the probe Imperial. He's going to duke it out with the SCV, and of course decides to run away smartly, regenerate a few shields, and then he could probably kill that fairly easily. First gas going up from Sly. And same thing from Imperial, one gas. Both players opening up fairly safely with no crazy early expands, but rather just a gateway and a barracks from both. Are we going to see possibly some fast aggression from either player? We'll have to wait and see. Lovely use of chrono boost from Imperial, just getting those lovely probes out as fast as possible. Smart little pylon here, allows them to warp in units later on down here, and also gives them vision in case of any crazy harass going on. So we have a tech lab coming up from Sly. Maybe that means we're going to see some Reapers, possibly just lots of Marauders. Well, I'm hoping we see some Reaper. I love Reapers, they're such the coolest unit. And there it is, yes, we will be seeing some Reaper harass. It is a tad late, it's nothing super early. So I imagine it won't be anything too crazy with it, possibly just using Scout, which is fairly common these days. Produce one Reaper and then turn into Marauder production after that. And in the meantime, Sly has finally found Imperial to see what's going on, has a quick scout around. It's always nice. This map is, I want to say, slightly favoured towards tanks. I think it works beautiful. It drops as well. You can just jump up, drop a few units, pull back, while having tanks blocking off this ramp, making it very difficult for a Protoss player to deal with, even with Colossus. The tanks are just so good, so good, with some medevacs around to help them. Give sight, that is, obviously they can't heal them. And just continue to poke around with this Reaper as well. Just good to see what's going on. Not a lot of amazingly exciting things going on. Fairly standard play. We see Warp Gate coming up. Second command center, so we're going to see a fast, reasonably standard expand from both players. I shouldn't say fast, but fairly standard play on all parts. Really, doesn't look like he's going to do anything too crazy with his Reaper. It's a bit late. It would get picked off very quickly by a Stalker, and the lovely Sentry, the glowing ball that sits on the back of it. Those things amaze me. They look so cool. But anyway, Reaper, check the middle. Nothing too crazy going on. He'll probably keep it around these sorts of areas around here, just to keep an eye on when the third comes up. Keep a check on what's going on there quick. Extra Rexes coming down from Sly. Command center almost finished, still only on one gas. We see two gas from Imperial. Extra gateways coming down. Warp gate almost finished. Robotics facility coming down. The expansion's almost up. Smart pylon placage, allows warp-ins as I said earlier, but also just gives them some nice vision on drops, people coming up, and also on enemies scouting around this area here. Moving forward just to protect. Marauders coming up, marauders, I should say. Good number of marauders, which is so powerful, or overpowered, as many Protoss would love to say. And we have just double tech labs and Stimpak coming up, so we're not going to see any early aggression right now. Often if people want early aggression, they'll tend to go for shields first, combat shields, that way they can absorb a lot more damage. But of course we aren't seeing a lot of Marines, so combat shields isn't going to help a whole lot right now either. But I imagine the second tech lab will probably see combat shields coming out, or concussive shells. No, it is combat shields. So no crazy aggression, or I imagine we would have concussive shot done much earlier. Both players have their second gases going, see a factory coming down, so are we going to see tanks or going straight for a starport? Maybe some drop play, we'll find out. And of course our Imperial is getting an observer ready, and I would be expecting him to start putting down a robotics facility. And there it is. I haven't actually watched this beforehand, by the way. I'm just assuming that that's what they might be doing. And there's the robotics bay to get some Colossi, some Colossus going. Colossi, depends if you like batteries or battery. Animi, whatever floats your boat, I guess. And we're just going to leave our observer here to chill out. And there's the second observer. So he did build two, very common, send one out and then keep one back, just in case of any crazy sort of Banshee play, or it's just nice to have it there as a backup, because often your first one you'll send out, it'll get blown up by a scan or something like this. In this case, Imperial is going to get a complete view of the entire base. Minerals and gas, we can see Sly about even between Imperial and Sly on minerals, but Sly is behind on gas. Imperial has decided to take up all 4 gas straight away, whereas we see only 3. A third gas is only just coming up for Sly right now. Yes, he's going to have less gas, but he needs a lot less. He isn't producing mass amounts of tanks, and there's the starport coming down on the reactor, so we're going to see some Valkyries. Yep, one of each. A Valkyrie. Wrong game. Viking. Valkyrie, of course, is from Brood War. Viking and a medevac coming up. Getting myself a bit confused. Sorry about that. That's alright. Lovely placement of stalkers. Often people just tend to leave them all out here, and here's the first stalker coming up. Lovely to see. Thermal Lance, extra range for the Colossus, is halfway finished. But yeah, as I was saying, good choice of leaving your stalkers here, because often you'll get some drops and it's a pain to have to wander your units all the way back to here. And in the meantime they've killed 16 of your probes. Terran got all 4 gases up now. He's starting to place missile turrets for protection and detection. Good safe option, good safe play from both players. Nothing crazy to begin with. First match of a tournament, often people will play safe. Standard plays, armory coming down. So what will we be seeing? We'll be seeing ship upgrades, we'll be seeing ground upgrades, and there it is. Smart turret comes up, gets a few pop shots off, but just doesn't manage to kill it. And Imperial's happy to leave it there. I don't know if that's smart or not. I would probably shifted it, but he probably may not have noticed. And we're seeing Sly beginning to move out with a formidable enough force, but I don't think he has the medevac count right now. He's building one more, but he does have a good number of Vikings to deal with Colossus. There isn't a huge number of units from Imperial. That is not the biggest looking army. We do have stalkers up here that he's going to be pulling down as well. He sees it coming. It's going to be, it's going to be close. There's a good amount of marauders. So I want to say Sly, if he can take out the Colossus and use his units smartly enough, he would be able to kill this force, I want to say. But he's deciding not to. He's just going to pull back, play safe, take out the destructible rocks, send an SCV out to scout, and he sees 2 Colossus and decides, let's just pull back. Let's be safe. Let's not do anything silly. We're beginning to see Terran ship upgrades coming up so he can kill those Colossus a bit quicker. What's he going to do? Is he going to hold the middle? Yes, he's just going to hold out in the middle. We're seeing a third base coming, finished now for Imperial, which makes life a little bit more risky. He's got the smart pylon here to scout, maybe throw a few cannons or gateways there for just to block any silly business. And means he can also come around behind the units like that. Scan coming down, he gets to see the entire army, Sly does, of Imperial. Continue to upgrade very nicely. Very good upgrading from both players. We're seeing Templar archives coming down as well, so maybe we're going to see some Dark Templar, possibly, I'm not sure. We'll find out, or if he's just going to plan on going for High Templar just to help deal with the Bio Ball. More gateways coming down. If you don't know what a Bio Ball is, these are bio units, biological units, and Storm eats them alive, let's be honest. Third command center up for Sly now, so both players in a fairly equal position. Oh, but here comes Ghosts for Sly. Ghosts are extremely deadly against any Protoss because being able to shred away those shields makes a massive difference. EMP Shockwave, or EMP Round, depending what you want to call it. I think it was EMP Shockwave back in Brood War StarCraft 1. It gets rid of all shields. Well, it used to. It does 100 damage to shields now, so my apologies. I'm getting myself very confused from back in old school days. 1-1 up for the Protoss player, but you take 100 damage off all those units, well, as many as you can hit with a well-landed EMP round, and that can tilt the battle in your favour fairly nicely. Both players playing fairly cautiously, not wanting to get into any huge engagement. Terran just poking around a little bit. He's got one SCV in there smartly to do some repairs on his medevacs and that sort of thing. You get the feeling that both players want to engage, but yeah, just want to play it safely because it's no real clear. Imperial a little bit ahead, but nothing astronomically large. Choosing to bring one Templar. How many do we have on the field now? Just the one Templar in there to throw it out. Of course, EMP round will not help much because it's going to peel off that energy pretty quickly. Resources, we have pretty even on both fronts nicely. Get rid of that again. And both players just deciding to play fairly safe games. It looks like it's going to be a 200 battle. We have the extra command set coming down here. We'll put a planetary fortress up maybe, or is he going to use it, turn it into an orbital command and push across and take a fourth base possibly? Only time will tell. We have many Rexes up now. Are we going to see nukes coming up soon, hopefully? I hope so. I love nukes. But yes, fairly standard play from both players. Smart play. Tech labs. Just get extra building facilities. I want to say that Terran can probably produce a little bit faster than Protoss at the moment. And here we're going to see a big engagement. Oh, Protoss deciding to pull back. He gets the stim off and can just pick apart, but he does not have concussive shells yet. I think that was a bit of a mistake. He could have done a lot more damage because concussive shell slows down those zealots a lot. And Protoss deciding to move by. We're going to get a run by on both sides. Terran pushing in here. Yes, Imperial has to pull back. He has no choice or he's going to lose his third. Terran running straight through, picking apart his base before Protoss can get there, but in comes those Colossus from behind, lasering apart that ball of bio, and it is falling to pieces. He's got Vikings, he's able to take out those Colossus, but is it going to be too late? Yes, Sly's army is getting decimated, absolutely destroyed. I mean, sure, he got the Colossus down, but in the meantime, he managed to lose his entire army. And Imperial still has a big army left. 132 to 120. Not a good position for Sly to be in because he doesn't have that many units. He lost all of his medevacs, I think. Did he have one left? Yeah, no, he lost all of his medevacs, all of his Vikings. And one lone marauder deciding to push up and do it by himself like the machine he is. Well, biological machine, we'll say. And Imperial coming into the third, he is going to decimate this third. Sly, there's nothing he can do about it. He's forced to lift off, try and get his SCVs out, but they're just going to... Not a chance, not even one makes it out. Sly is hoping for some sort of miracle right now. He's not in a good position. Imperial is just... He's holding such strong lead right now. He's got his third strong. He's got no probes, as they did, I think, get killed off. He had to pull them off. He's slow to get them back into position, but that's alright. Oh, no, I missed a drop back then, I'm sorry. So, in amongst all of that, Sly deciding, got to do a counter-attack. He lets his third go. He pulls his base out smartly, puts his other base back down. That was the one which he built here. In the meantime, he did a little poke in here to try and kill some probes. He didn't do a lot of damage, but it was enough to, I think, hold Imperial off. Of course, in the meantime, Imperial has no Colossus built again. They are coming in production, but they are they do take a long time to build. And in the meantime, Sly has, I think, almost pulled himself right back in this game again. That drop was enough to pull Imperial back. Oh, and a lovely, double Psystorm. That hurt. Look at the damage that did. It didn't kill, but it forced him to push back. And it does use up the energy. Oh, and a lovely feedback on the Ghost, stripping of all its energy and almost killing it in one shot. He must have been on like 98 energy, because it does 1 damage for every energy taken. So 100 energy and your Ghost dies. The Sly is looking like he's going to be keen to push in, but Imperial has got a very large army, and that is a lot of Zealots. If they can close in around this army, it is going to be deadly for Sly. Sly, of course, at the same time is doing a drop down here very smartly to keep the pressure on both sides. Sly just dancing back, keeping him busy while he's just pulling apart his third base here. Very good. Good play by Sly. Pushing in, pulling back, not letting him do any real damage, Imperial do any real damage to himself. But in the meantime, he's just picking, and he does. He takes down the third base with, I think, 4 units in a minivac. Beautiful play. In come the charge lots. Lovely shield off. Is he going to use this opportunity to take out the third? No. Yes. Yes, he is. Good option. Block the units off. And lovely Psystorms. He's forcing him not to come in. Anytime he walks out that ramp, he's going to get Psionic Storm to death. And it's just so effective. Ghosts picking apart here. Trying to use those Ghosts to feed them off. But there's not really a lot either player can do. They're both almost mined out on their second base. And neither has a third anymore. Terran player doesn't even have enough to build a third command center, I don't think. No, he hasn't got a third command center. He can't build one. He has to hope he gets enough off this, or he has to shift one of his command centers across. Terran player is, however, has enough minerals banked that he's able to build off, and looks like we have a lone marine exploring the world in the outside. Forward proxy pylon, lovely to see, always good. Quick reinforcements. Both players are fairly even on food. Hugely favoured in Imperial's favour for resources, of course. Units killed. You look at the damage Imperial has done. He has done astronomical amounts of damage, yet Sly has just stayed in the game with just mass productions of bio. And there's another very lovely Psystorm landing on the Ghosts. That hurts. Is he going to be able to pull out a... Oh, and there it is! The amount of Psystorms that are landing. That is massive. He's got huge numbers going off right now. But Sly pulling back with a stim very smartly. He's got enough medevacs to try and heal those up quickly before anything happens. Only 1 Colossus in here, but with the amount of Templar he's got, that army is just going to fall apart with one bad move from Sly. He will lose most of his army. And that is really costing him right now. He is able to get his main base's command center shifted over and hopefully try and get some mining in. But I would imagine Imperial's going to push up once again. And I do think this will probably be the last attack coming in shortly. Both players are not in good positions right now. Neither player has a huge bank of minerals, and in comes a lovely little sneak attack here from Sly to take out this third. Is he going to be able to take it out? Imperial has no reinforcements here. He's trying to warp in some Zealots, but they're just getting picked apart. Of course, he's got one little channel we can get through, and Sly is forced to lift up due to the amount of units that Imperial can warp in, and he never did any real damage. He killed a couple of cannons and a couple of Zealots, not enough damage to make it worthwhile. He pulls back, he'll heal up, but these medevacs are completely out of energy. And in the meantime, Imperial is just going to march up to the front door and probably take out this third. In the meantime, Imperial's gotten a fourth up. So Imperial has a pretty large lead at the moment. There's nothing Sly can really do to try and fend us off, and down it goes. He's trying to come in, but boom, there are the storms with lovely force fields to keep them in place. And in the meantime, this army has just been decimated. Sly has just been picked apart by storms and by 1 Colossus, 2 Colossus just picking that army apart. And I will imagine that we will see a GG coming in shortly. Sly has nothing left, no minerals, and not even a GG. He just leaves the game. So a little bit of BM there from Sly, and Imperial takes the 1-0 lead right off the bat. GG, good game. Imperial really played well that game. You got the Colossus up early, and then a beautiful transition into Storm, which really just ripped apart Sly. Sly did some good drop tactics down the bottom to try and keep the pressure on, and that did hold him in the game for a bit longer. But in the end, he wasn't able to keep his third up. He wasn't able to get a fourth, and he just fell behind massively. Of course, if we look at some of the counting stations, it looks pretty one-sided. 17 to 74 workers killed, 233 to 99. Yeah, Sly kind of, well, he lost, we'll put it that way. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for another ZASGcast. It was fun, great game to see. I look forward, hopefully in a couple of days, to casting the second match. Will Sly do a comeback and possibly win 2-1 against Imperial, or is Imperial just going to walk away with a 2-0? We'll wait and see. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in a few days.